003s. These are StaX. These are StaX ear speakers. Those are the 007s. Those are the L700s. These little baby things are ear speakers. And I should have pulled out my Odyssey iSigns and been like, look, here's little planars, and ooh, isn't that new and exciting? You know how old these are? This design? I honestly don't know, but it's probably, knowing StaX, 10 years? Probably 10 years. And these do actually come, they look like they're headphones, but these will pop off. You can pop this out, and you can use them like IEMs. And many people told me I had to do that in order to get the comfort right. But here's the thing. They're StaX, and ergonomics on StaX are not great or even good most of the time. So I was finding that this system, and I'm going to go into detail on how this works, because it's pretty interesting actually. People would probably prefer the iSigns if they had a little headband clip. And that's all it is. It's a little headband clip. And here it says left, and here it says StaX. So that becomes the correct orientation to wear it. So like over like a tiara on front, which is a little weird. And you notice there's a hole here, like right there. So this actually pivots around the opening. So there's the opening for the electrostatic the electrostatic membrane, which is in here. I mean, it's very basic black. Says a big letter L there with, you know, the bumps in case you're blind. It's got Braille, because I have Braille on it, only on one side. Attached little skinny baby wire. Again, it's the same 3 conductor per side. It's look, it's electrostatic. It's StaX. And the owner let me borrow the SR003A, and then he ordered the Denafrips Aries DAC, and these are getting their own. These are getting this review. We're in it, and I have my IESL, which I did purchase because it was covered in chocolate. And I'm like, can you give me a deal? So I got this IESL being powered off of my X7S, because this can just do. So I'm going to talk about these in a second and the difference between them. I'm going to pull out my L700s, but first let's actually look at this, because this is unique. Because here's the thing. I love my iSigns, and I love them for reasons that they're an open planar headphone that you can wear in your ear and go jogging and running and bike riding, and you don't look like a douchebag wearing, like, I don't know, I was wearing these advanced alphas out, and it's like, do I look like a douchebag? A little bit. 4XXs, you don't look, but they're, you know, so that's the benefit of having a big planar thing. So the next step up from planar, if you've watched any of my videos about anything, ear speakers, you know, electrostatics are bae. They're basically like, once you're done with all this shitty dynamic and planar stuff, StaX. So, what do I think of the StaX-003? I don't know if these are a mark or anything. Well, they're uncomfortable as fuck. And it's not just, oh, well, I should pull them out of this and use them as just IMs. I can't get them to stay seated deeply enough, because you need for these to seat for there to be any sort of low end, for there to be any sort of sound quality at all. And the only way that works is with this headband, which is rather tight. It's a little bit of a torture device. It's a little bit. And if you look, okay, so it's got this cool hole, and the whole thing like rotates and pivots around 360 degrees. And as you rotate the headband, the angle of everything changes. So you can see that it does that. So basically, you have to find where your ear canals line up with this, and then that's where this headband goes. And on my head, I could just swing it over the top of my GoPro. And it's not there, it's not there. It's basically straight back. And then it pushes the canal holes right there. And I got a good solid seal. And then I turn this up. There's a ton of noise coming off the actual thing holding it from just bouncing around. these when you get the seal right and you get the comfort livable, it's never going to be great. It's a hard plastic thing with a very small rubber. When you get it livable and it's in your ear and it's being held in place and you don't feel like it's going to fall, and then, you know, Mozart comes on or Alt J. Oh. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sold on these. Alright, I'm fucking sold on them, but here's the problem. There are only like a handful, and by a handful I mean I think 2 that I know of portable energizers for ear speakers. There's a brand new one that's just coming out from StaX itself, and there's a King Sound one that I've been trying to get hold of for a while. And can you really see yourself? I mean, I know crazy people will see themselves carrying around anything. This isn't out of bounds for a crazy person to just, as their portable setup. You know, this and a running car just follows them around. They plug it in. So, why buy these if ear speakers, if like legit full-size ones exist? And it's hard to say. See, there are people, and I've met them, who don't even look at headphones. They go to CanJam or something, and it's all about the IMs. It's about custom molded in-ear monitors. That's the pinnacle of listening to things. They don't give a shit about convenience, putting on, off, and pass. It's just, no, it's got to be IM. It's got to bypass so much and then get right in there. And I think these fall into the category of people who want that sort of life can have these. I'm going to take them off now so you can actually see. I'm tired. I'm not tired of listening to them, but they hurt. And they feel like, like I pulled these out of this little thing, and it just pops out. There's just a little, I feel like I'm going to break it every time I do it. So I'm not doing it again. Because it will definitely break on camera. I don't feel like buying these. Price on these, well, I don't think they're made anymore, so they are sort of like a random price variable. I think, I don't know, I have to check staxaudio.com and see if they're up there. They're unique. They sound like StaX. They really do. But they're uncomfortable. And what's the point? If you're stuck at home, if you're going to be stuck at home with this to power them, you may as well just skip them. I'm underselling how good they sound, because they take the iSign 20s and put that EQ tweak on them that everyone puts on them, and then double them. That's what these sound like. Because they're ear speakers. They're electrostatics. They're StaX. Even my brain can't comprehend anything less than perfection out of a StaX anything. So now let's move on. So, the guy sent me the 727A, which is the longest stack. I mean, I'm kind of hiding it. Look, are you looking at the length of this? That's like some John Holmes-esque freaking... Like, I complained that the Audio God 28 was very deep. Oh, this is deeper. This is narrower. This doesn't make any... The only way this would make sense is if everyone in Japan has, like, equipment racks like this, and they just have to slide very long server rack things into it. The form factor is ridiculous. It's very simple up front. Power switch, amber LED... Volume knob that is a split volume knob, and if you go back to the COS 950 review, I talked about that having a split volume knob where you can control the left and right volumes individually. And then you're supposed to set them, and then it keeps twisting. This is what I was talking about when I said that's fine, because look, see, I could adjust the outside ring, which is left, and the inside ring, which is right, completely separate. Then they stay there. They're literally, you can't mess them up. There's too much friction between them. And when you turn it all the way down, then you could reset both, and then you're at 0 again. Most times you wouldn't have to adjust this. It's nice that they give you a balance control. They could just have a separate balance thing here. They do it this way. It's fine. It shouldn't affect anything. Most ear speakers are probably good. Most people's hearing is good enough. But if you ever wanted to just play around, just get it up in the middle and just do that, and then level it to where you think it sounds like it's even, and then turn it down and see if you actually are at 0. It's a fun little game to see if your hearing is damaged. Oh, yay. 2 Pro outputs in the front. No, in other words, there's Pro and there's, I think it's called normal. And it's usually for if you have way older stacks. They don't use the high voltage. They don't use 580 volt. They use half that. Let's look at the back, which I'm going to have to do a dance, a demon dance. Here we go. Move the Denafrips for a second. Back has XLR RCA switch here. We have XLRs going in. We're running balance off this DAC. You get RCA inputs, which you could switch with pass-throughs, just like every little tiny StaX. You got a ground wire here, which I don't have hooked up because there's no grounding issues, and power. And this unit, while it says 100 volts, the owner has told me that this one was modified so it could run off of 120, which is a thing when you get into like legit StaX amps. Japan is 100 volt. If you don't have 100 volt in your house, you got to buy one of those step-down converters, which I was getting prepared to use. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. It's going to work fine, 120. It's been modified internally by the previous owner. Great. So I'm feeding this with this Denafrips. You can't make up names. He's like, I'm going to buy a DAC. I'm going to send you the thing, and I'm going to send you the 007s, the 007s, and I'm going to send you a DAC. I'm like, all right, what is it? It's a Denafrips. It's a Denafrips Aries. And I did no research on this DAC. I don't even know how much it costs. I don't want to know. Because as a reviewer, I should be informed, but at the same time, I'm here to listen to things and tell you if I think they're good or not. And really, I don't need to know the price of anything, because you can just look it up in the link below and then decide that on your own. So, this very heavy black metal, I've heard better boxes than that, with the pointy feet. As soon as you see the pointy feet, it's like, that's money, isn't it? Damn money. So, oh, by the way, this thing gets hot. Power switch, which is backwards, by the way. And this is not the first unit. The, what are you? You're the burst and play. Your power switch is also slide it down to turn it on. I don't understand. I've let the caps on here. You get a USB, which I don't use because this poor girl here can't afford to have any more terrible drivers shoved inside her. She just needs to, she's happy with her fiber optic. So I'm using the fiber optic input. There are 2 fiber optic inputs. There are 2 coaxial digital inputs and USB. So you get 5 inputs. You get a pair of RCA outputs, which, by the way, can you like looking? I don't know if the camera, can you see the quality of just what I'm looking at here? With like the knurled tightening rings, like multiple, and that one's got a notch for a tool, and then there's the plastic. I feel like I shouldn't even touch them. Like they should be polished by a professional jeweler. And then you just get XLR outputs. You know, boring old XLR outputs. So this thing is acting as the source for this thing. And the reason that the IESL is out is because, well, I own it, and I got to compare against something. I'm not going to pull out the little Pro SRM252S because it's the cheapest electrostatic energizer. It's like $300 still for that, and it does its job. And I'll put on the L700s into that, and I'll still cry like a little bitch, but I know I could do better. So we're gonna do a little swapping. Leave the 007s up there for now. They're gonna get their own whole review. So let's just go, and I'll give you at least the rundown right now of what sounds best this very moment between this giant 727A and the IESL, which is set up and set to the correct ohm load. So let's play. Alt-J, we'll skip that. Metallica, Sad But True. Okay. So either one of these will work. Now I'm set to be... Nah, not this song. Blue Swede. Hooked on a Feeling. Blue Swede. You get the joke, right? And you gotta flip it over for this, and then you go in. This is the perfect song for this. Ooh, see, here's the thing. This is a big money item. This particular DAC is a big money item, and it has some features. You have, up here is the power, the smallest, I have to review, I'm reviewing this. This is the review for this. I'm not going to give it any more special treatment than that. It has the smallest LED holes I've ever seen. And what I mean by that is, do you see them? There's one above the power button. There's a standby button. So even though there's a power switch in the back, you can stand it by in the front. Because this does get warm, even though DACs really shouldn't have that much going on as far as amplification. You get 3, 6, you got 14 LEDs to the right. USB coaxial 1, coaxial 2, optical 1, optical 2, phase and mute are the top row of LEDs. And then you get 44, 48, 1X, 2X, 4X, 8X, and DSD are the bottom row of LEDs. And every one of those is a button. So here's what happens. Nothing. These are all the switcher input. You got the first 5 are the switcher input. You got a mute button, which honestly on a DAC, that's a pretty unique feature. Because it's not a preamp DAC. It doesn't have remote control. I can't get my Bluetooth to my phone and control my speakers in the living room. It's just a DAC. It's a very expensive, very good, balanced DAC, but it's just a DAC. So it's very strange that it has a mute button. I don't know of any other just like Sanskrit-esque, you know, oh, it's just that it just, you can mute it from the unit. So I guess I'm not going to knock that. It's not a negative, it's just, there's a feature. Now it also has a phase button, which when I hit it, if you hit it, it turns on. If you hit it again, it turns off. You hold it, it blinks. And I don't know if that's blinking just on and off. It doesn't make any discernible change that I can hear in the ear speakers being powered through this. It's just that you got a mute button and a phase button. And if I was feeding it DSD, I'm sure that would light up. But I'm not feeding it DSD, and I wouldn't be able to do it through optical anyway. Oh, I've got it muted. Let's go to next track. StaX Records. Dennis Cooling, Seaside Rendezvous. Anything StaX Records, by the way, is usually extremely high quality. So this is a good test of like, all right. I'll tell you what, these sound like I'm wearing L700s, which is just like, okay. Trying to balance the volume. Because I'm using, when I switch to this, I have the X1S as my DAC. And then I'm using the power portion of the X7S at around, it's around 130 through this. Set up on 16 ohm because that's what it just needed for the volume and all the settings. And I'm pretty sure I don't hear a main benefit of this giant StaX amp. It's close. This might have the smallest bit of soundstage. Just the absolute giant, hot, purpose-built StaX amp might be taking it, but it's to the point where Zeos has been sitting here and just doing that, and he's not sure. Like he has to love this. He owns this. This is his. This is the home team, and I'm the referee and the commentator and everything else. And I'm like, I want you to win. At the same time, I have to judge this. Because I don't know how many people actually care about the 727A. You're just watching this to see waifus. But I have to sort of give, like, do I hear? And then I have to question, well, am I hearing this? or this. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug this, turn the old DAC on, which is a $130 DAC, which is most of the times all you'll ever need. And I'm going to plug it into this, flip that switch, and now I'll compare back and forth. So we'll take the Denafrips. I'm going to call it Denafrips. Can I call it a Denafri? Denafrips is too weird. Shut that off. Why do you make funny sound? Hold on. Ooh, it does not like that. It did not like having both plugged in, even though I flipped the switch. I feel like I need a little more volume. I definitely need more volume. Alright. Hope this song isn't blocking this fucking video. Alright. Long story short. This is a very high quality StaX amp. Energizer. And it's goddamn so close to the IESL running off of a... I'm going to call that a moderate own stack. Because I know there's the S6 and there's a bigger and better. But even running off of just that, with that DAC, which is still one of my favorites, compared to this running off of either a Denafrips Aries, which feels like money. I'm sure when I go to make the description for this video, I'm going to find a link to it. I'm going to be like, holy shit, it's how much? I'm going to take an estimate right now, knowing absolutely nothing about this other than I wanted to hear it. I wanted to do no research on it and actually just listen to it. I'm going to call this out at $1,500. $1,500 DAC, and I've just plugged in the old DAC, which is $130, and I can't hear a difference. And I'm going from balanced to just RCA. You know why? Because these make everything sound like God is yelling at you. So maybe if there wasn't L700 stacks, I wouldn't be as distracted. We'll bring that in when we talk about the 007s. So, this review, what did we talk about? This doesn't even feel like a full review. Zeos, what the hell are you talking about? I guess it's sort of like a confirmation that the IESL can do a goddamn bang-up job through a standard, you know, any balance headphone amp. And I just basically discredited the acoustic. I mean, look, I didn't just do this. I've been doing this for fucking weeks. People watch the review and say, oh, he did it for 3 seconds. No, I've been doing this for weeks. I'm just showing you me doing it for 3 seconds. And it's a very nice DAC. Whatever he paid for, I hope he paid under $500 for it. Or around $500 for it. Because, frankly, the JDS Labs old DAC sounds pretty much spot on identical. So, yeah, what have we learned? This is a very nice energizer. And, I mean, this is a $1,300 piece of equipment to make this happen. So it's not like, oh, you can get this cheap thing. So this has lots going on. But as far as what's happening in here, it's not like blowing it away. So again, we're at like Endgame City. I'm watching Mount Olympus, two giants fight. So that's a goddamn $500 stack of equipment right there. $400 if you get it on like super sale. And this is $1,300. And this thing is, you know, you're buying it used. I don't think they sell it new. So you're spending for this stack is like, oh, no one, why are you watching? REM. You're watching for REM. And then these. And then I had to talk about these. These are too interesting. They're interesting. He was sending them along. I'm like, that's going to be interesting. And they sound like stacks. But I'm not sitting here testing with these because I have those. So, I mean, should in the future someone come out with a goddamn portable StaX energizer that isn't $1 trillion and, you know, can last more than 3... The one that the brand new StaX one's gonna last 4 hours, and it's the size of like. It's bigger than like the FIO X7. It's like thicker, and that's just for the Energizer. You still need to have a player. So I'm glad they did it as a tech demo, but I don't see the point if you could, because they're good, but they don't like add a new perspective to like usability. You can get this sound out of, well, ear speakers. That's what they do. But they do shit all over the eye signs. They just shit all over the eye signs. You just can't go out with them, and I can go out with eye signs. So if I had to choose, if you said I could have these or my eye signs, give me my eye signs. So there you go. Wallpaper download in the description. Link to the Patreon, which will help find me a box to ship this stuff back to the owner, and helps sell things when I'm done with them. And you guys get to see these reviews mad early. Because, you know, there might be a run on something here. And I think we're good. Moving on.